Hello and welcome back to Talon 101. This time we're going to talk about Middle Claymore or down forward 4. This is Hwoarang's old reliable mid-homing kick that he's been pretty much using ever since he got it in Tekken 6 onwards. It was back 4 in Tekken 6 and in Tekken Tag 2. And in Tekken 7 it became DF4 and remained that way in Tekken 8. Perhaps it'll get an input change in Tekken 9, but we're in Tekken 8 and this move has not disappointed at all. It still does its job ever since it came in and is the old reliable mid-homing move that you use when your DF1, F1 plus 2, and DF2 aren't really doing the job. And if you don't have heat active to throw out ignition barrage to prevent an opponent from sidestepping, most especially when you had frame advantage to boot and it's negative 14 on block. So that's where you switch to down forward 4, most especially if you're not sure on what side the opponent is going to step towards. Now, it is also plus 8, which allows you to really keep the pressure going on, and the opponent's just pretty much subjected to the mix-up. But there is a downside to this plus 8 move that goes into right foot forward. That pressure pretty much disappears if the opponent does employ a backdash. So what used to be a powerful option for Hwoarang is now a mind game between you and the opponent. Now, of course, before we go through all the nitty-gritty, let's talk of frame data first. 16 frames, plus 8 on hit, negative 8 on block. And if it's counter hit, knockdown. And he always goes into right foot forward, and it can only be done in left foot forward. Pressing DF4 and right foot forward would get RFF DF4, can't be done in left flamingo stance, and can't be done in right flamingo stance. It's an exclusive move to left foot forward, and probably one of the damn best moves in Hwoarang's kit. Now, again, it is a homing mid-kick, so if you are not sure where the opponent is stepping, you can just throw it out. Why not? Because, again, it's gonna end up in a frame advantage situation, and if nothing happened, then you're still safe. And it's kind of far-reaching-ish. It has a little bit of a big hitbox. Big in, like, quotation marks, right? Wherein it could be a far-reaching move somewhat, and it's one of the more reliable, super safe moves you could throw out. So if we turn off backdash there, which increase the distance, but if you caught it earlier, see how you still remain in range 1, sort of? So that's pretty damn handy. But let's address the elephant in the room, which is the backdash. So if an opponent does get hit by this, again, your pressure dreams or mix-up dreams are pretty much out the window. Of course, again, that's only against backdash, because if the opponent does decide to employ a sidestep to either direction, you have a lot of moves that are basically homing at this point. And one of them is ankle biter or down back 4. And as you can see there, that will prevent a sidestep left and a sidestep right. It doesn't even matter if I do down forward, at a really, really far range, I'm still going to catch them. And the other move you can always pair that up with is like an RFF back 2. So that's sidestep right, just going back to sidestep left. And that does whiff occasionally, but you can also still catch. Now, if that doesn't work, all reliables like F1 plus 2 or ignition barrage if you have heat active, or if you're getting the hard read into heat, is always available. And DF2 if that was just simply up close. But if you are at the wall, it indeed can become the best option in the world for pretty good damage and wall Okizeme. And that's generally the whole thing. For as long as you're at the wall, all your dreams come true. Now, if you're in open space, you can still get it. Check the opponent. The opponent can't exactly really move there, but they are going to default to backdash a lot. And since they're going to default to backdash a lot, how do you work against backdash? Well, number 1, you want to use moves that reach. So of course, that's something like down forward V2.04, ignition barrage. But of course, frontier, that is negative 14 mid. You're right. Of course, again, exception to the rule for as long as heat is active into the plus 5 heat dash. What's the next thing you can do? Hunting Hawk, perhaps? No, it's too slow at 29 frames. What you actually want to do is cancel your down forward 4 or cancel right foot forward, then do another down forward 4. Of course, that's in really, really slow motion. So let's show that again. Down forward 4, press up or down, whichever way you want to cancel right foot forward. I personally like to do up, and then do another down forward 4. So, again, just to show this in real time, that's how it should look like. That's how fast your down forward 4 follow-up should be right after another down forward 4. This is the de facto option to always follow up with if you want to prevent your opponent from even entertaining the idea of backdashing. Now, of course, Alisa, again, is top of the food chain when it comes to backdashing, so there are times where I'll catch it, times where I don't, depending on which range down forward 4 hit. Or, if you're willing to risk it, up forward 3+4, flashing trident. So you can end up -10 either way, or you can even end up -2. And if the opponent doesn't know how to work around Hwoarang -2 in left flamingo stance, then it's your favor slightly. That's about it. Because entertaining a running option or entertaining RFF3, these are in the slow options as we mentioned earlier with like Hunting Hawk. Of course, with Hunting Hawk being the slowest. So if that's what catches backdash, what catches the side steps? Of course, all of them would pretty much catch side steps. What I mean to say is what catches the buttons, right? Your DF4 into DF4 or canceled into a DF4 needs to be as fast as 16 frames. 16 frames flat. Because again, you are +8. So that cancel is going to take roughly around 2 frames or 1 frame, depending on how fast you do it. So the fastest I've been able to personally do it is to make it trade with another 10-frame jab. So what you want to do is basically have the opponent do a jab or after on hit, and you want to practice the trade. So as you see there, I only got it once out of how many tries? It's a 5th try, I think. So yeah, this requires a lot of practice if you want to really catch someone pressing a button right afterwards, and that's the fastest. Of course, that's not consistent for me, but it is doable. So that's something you want to drill into your Hwoarang toolkit, and that'll make you very, very unique from the rest of the crowd. Now, if you don't have it, let's look at the other options, right? The up forward 3+4 will prevent someone from pressing. This is why we go back to right plasma blade. We're going to call that back here, because on trade, this is exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for all that damage and, just sending the message straight to them. Like, okay, you can backdash, you can't sidestep, but of course, if you're going to use that to your advantage and you're really just going to try to prevent me from doing DF4 to DF4, then you're like, all right, I'm just going to say, no, stop doing that. And this now becomes the mind game you rotate around. So they're going to really key in on that point where they can challenge you, because challenging, most especially with an armored move in this situation, would beat out the main move that was preventing them from pressing a button to begin with. So you want to force the opponent up to this point, because once they've shown you that they really want to press, right? Because instead of just doing a backdash, and because doing a backdash means getting hit by a dash down 3-4 or running 3 and the likes that give Hwoarang more plus frames and pressure, better situation as well in terms of spacing, you want to push them here because you can take out those options really quickly. This happens once after like a right plasma blade, or it happens once after a DF4 into DF4. All right, you say bet and get the option that literally takes it out. You don't have to do a load, you don't have to do a grab, but even a standard DF1, where you don't really have to worry about the side steps anymore, can be a really good option to follow through. So going back to the DF4, right? There's one aspect we didn't touch about this, and that is its counter hit property. And if an opponent gets hit by this, you already know the drill. It is RFF wake up mix-up, or Okizeme, right? Just dash into RFF DF3. That's the base of where you work with. If the opponent techs, they're gonna get hit by that. And even if they don't tech, it's still a pretty damn good situation to be in, because you can always just change that to dash down back 4, and that still catches. Pretty much a default options here. And if you do get this to splat at the wall at counter hit, you already know you're getting pretty good damage and pretty good wall Okizeme, depending on which wall ender you'd like to do. So if that's for damage, you do LFS 3-2. If you're looking for Oki, that's an LFS down 4 to flip over, and it's going to be pretty good for as long as your RFF back 2 or any other option that you're pressing catches where they wake up. So it is pretty much a reliable move for Hwoarang, Middle Claymore, ever since, again, from Tekken 6 all the way up to Tekken 8. This move is a must-press button in neutral, also especially if you're trying to play a really, really safe Hwoarang, because it catches sidesteps both ways, it's safe, and to top it all off, it hits from a pretty far enough range to make it a good enough button to press in neutral. Is it a shame that it's -8 when it could be -6? Maybe, question mark, but it's a lot on the fair side of things. But yeah, that is a Middle Claymore for the most part. You can consider an RFF back 2, most especially if your opponent ain't stepping as much. Of course, again, it's all about how the opponent reacts to a lot of these things and the distance of when you hit Middle Claymore, or if you did it at the wall, because at the wall, God, is it a dream. But in open space, you gotta mind that distance, mind that gap, so that you can accurately press the next button to continue Hwoarang pressure. Again, that's everything I know about Middle Claymore down forward 4. I've been Frontier, and thank you for watching.